time about how I caught my husband cheating on me with our very young nanny. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. I'm 45 years old and my husband is 10 years younger than me. When we first got married, my friends kept telling me not to marry someone so much younger. They told me that he would eventually cheat and leave me for someone younger. I refused to believe this hope because my husband and I really loved each other. Or at least I thought. We met at a party a few years ago and he made the first move right away. He asked me out on a date and a few weeks later we became boyfriend and girlfriend. A few years after that we got married and after years of trying we finally got pregnant and had twins. They are both 2 years old now. My husband's job requires him to travel a lot. I own a really big salon and business is good. So we have a pretty good life and are able to afford a lot of things for our kids. Since my husband travels, my schedule has to be really flexible. I take care of the kids in the morning and then I go off to work, leaving them with the nanny. Our first nanny was a lot older and she had lots of experience. But she unexpectedly quit on us, so we had to find another one. We decided to look for one of those nanny agencies. We ended up interviewing about 5 nannies, but my husband was set on one of them and she was the youngest out of all of them, 18. Oh yeah, and the most attractive too. My husband told me that maybe we should try someone younger so that the kids can have fun, and I said yes. The nanny would cover for me for about 4 hours a day when I was at work. Her and I started to get along really, really well. She would tell me about her boy troubles and I would give her advice. Part 2 is up. Part 2 of how I caught my husband cheating on me with our very young nanny. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I sent me on Instagram. The nanny and I started to become really good friends. I even started telling her about the problems I was having with my husband. Little did I know that she was the problem. Like I said in part 1, my husband travels a lot. This is what we would usually fight about. You see, it was actually really easy for him to travel less. All he had to do was pick a different region for his job. Instead of a 6-hour flight, it could have been a 2-hour trip. His excuse was that he would get paid less. When I was telling the nanny about our issues, she told me that I should just let it go and let my husband have his freedom. But the way she said it really bothered me. I ended the conversation and told her that she could go home. When my husband came home, I mentioned to him what the nanny said. I told him that I didn't like the way she told me that I needed to give him his freedom. He started to laugh and said, "She's just a young girl. She's probably just saying what she thinks you need to hear." I decided to listen to my husband and I let it go. A week later, the nanny comes over to take care of the kids. By the way, as soon as she would come to my house, I would serve her a plate of food or make her anything she wanted before I left to work. As she sat down to eat, I could see her messages on her phone. And the name on the messages was the same as my husband's. I asked her why she was messaging my husband and she quickly put her phone in her purse. She didn't even know what to say. Part 3 is up. Part 3 of how I caught my husband cheating on me with our very young nanny. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I sent me on Instagram. When I asked her why she was messaging my husband on her phone, she did not know what to say. I asked her if she was okay. Then she replies with, "I just needed some advice for my car." She was so nervous. I asked her to pull out her phone and give it to me. That's when she said no and started putting up a fight. She told me I had no right to check her phone, but I didn't believe her. I ripped her purse from her hands and grabbed the phone. Before I even have a chance to look at the messages, she starts calling me fat and old, and that my husband is planning to leave me for her. Honestly, what she was saying didn't faze me because my goal was to look at the messages. And she was pretty much right. In the messages, my husband promised her to leave me for her, and that he was sick of me and the kids. I begin to scroll up and see all of the pictures that they send each other. You can imagine what they were. By the way, the nanny was only a day from turning 18. Yep. Out of nowhere, she starts breaking plates and glasses and verbally abusing me. She even said that if I didn't leave him alone, that something bad would happen to me. I grabbed her by the arm and threw her out of the house. But I kept her phone, so I called my husband from the phone. When he hears my voice, he hangs up the phone. When he finally got home, we got into a 6-hour fight. I made him leave the house, but apparently the nanny went crazy. She started stalking him and he had to get a restraining order against her. Serves him right. Her parents are threatening to press charges. I don't want my kids to grow up without a father, but I don't want to get back with him. What should I do?
My girlfriend insisted on an open relationship and now wants to close it, but I'm having the time of my life. How do I proceed? So, me and my girlfriend are both 23 and have been dating for 4 years now. She had an ex before me, but it's my first and everything. Well, 6 months ago, she said she was looking into having an open relationship and it would be good for the two of us to get some experience. That way, we wouldn't get bored of each other. I was very against the idea, but she said there was no other option for her and I didn't want to lose her, so I agreed. We made the rule that we tell each other who and when we were hooking up with and others. And after 2 days of this starting, she went and slept with her ex. I was kind of sad, and to lift my spirits, my friends took me to a club. We danced and enjoyed our time there and joined a girl group. One of them started grinding on me and I took her number. We met up later at my place and we slept together and it was so much better. My girlfriend was what one would call a pillow princess. I had told my girlfriend about her and she just sent a thumbs up emoji and a text that she'd be hooking up with her ex again. It was weird and it did click to me that she just wanted to mess around with her ex, but I was also having fun and didn't want to close up again. I was feeling confident, handsome, and attractive for the first time in a while, and I realized that she never actually made me feel that way. We started seeing each other less and less. We went from hanging out daily for the first 2 years to 3 or 4 times a week to once a week. One day we were out at the mall together and she stopped at a store to try on some clothes. I ran into a friend of mine in the store and we started chatting and openly flirting and ended it with her telling me that she hoped we could meet again soon in front of my girlfriend. I think on that day she changed a bit. She stopped sending me a text telling me who she was hooking up with, and she said it was because she wasn't hooking up with anyone anymore. We started spending more time together because she wanted to. She started initiating more and started trying out new stuff and generally being more affectionate. I knew this was love bombing, but I enjoyed it, so I didn't really do much. I still took advantage of the open relationship though and would still go out to have fun, and this started irking her. She asked me why I was still with others now that she was giving me all the attention I wanted, and she insinuated that I wanted to cheat on her, which is why I agreed. To which I said I was the reluctant one and she brought it up. She said she regretted it and she only had one partner and realized he wasn't as good as I was, so she ditched him and now she wants to close the relationship again. I told her what she was like in bed and how I felt horrible around her before, and opening up our relationship brought back my confidence. She started crying and hugged me and said that she didn't know that and she'd make up for it with me and asked me if I was going to leave her. I said it had crossed my mind, but I thought not to. She cried harder, then fell asleep, and I realized that I really don't want to close this relationship. I've been feeling attractive and desired for a while now, and I really enjoy it. She said she'll do her best to make me feel like that and said that she loves me and doesn't want me to leave her, and she's also changed a bit, complimenting me and stuff, which makes me feel a bit better. I'm actually willing to close the relationship, but I would need a guarantee that she won't go back to being what she was, which I don't really have. So here I am. Do you guys think it's best to close the relationship? Should I even stay in this relationship? Will she go back to being what she was?
I accidentally made a comment about my girlfriend's weight and I don't know how to fix it. So here's the backstory. My male 21 girlfriend, female 19, and I have been together for 2 years. When we started dating, she was a gym rat. We constantly worked out together to keep ourselves in good shape. My girlfriend also had a son when she was 15 from another guy who never bothered to be around for her or the baby. She had to lose a lot for her baby. She was kicked out and worked 2 part-time jobs on top of school to pay for herself and the baby. However, he was diagnosed with leukemia a few months into the relationship and passed away 5 months ago after chemo failed. This hit my girlfriend hard. She got in contact with her parents, who offered for her to move back in and not work so that she could deal with her grief. Instead, she moved in with me, and I currently support her financially. Since his passing, she's gained over 65 pounds and is no longer in the shape that she was when we first started dating. She has gotten back to normal in some aspects, such as being able to enjoy doing things, and has been more again. Well, recently, I went to a party and ended up cheating on her. It was nothing past, and it was just because of how much her body reminded me of my old girlfriend. Turned out, a few of her friends were at the party and ended up taking pictures of us making out and then leaving together. So, when I came home the next morning, my girlfriend was obviously pissed. She was yelling and crying to me about how she trusted me and how she couldn't handle this after losing her baby. I didn't really think much of it. She's been erratic in her emotions since the loss, so I was letting her take her time to process it. She just wouldn't stop though. It was over a half hour before I snapped back and said, quote, "If you didn't get so big, then I wouldn't have to." I immediately apologized and tried to explain that I didn't mean it that way. She didn't listen and locked herself in the bedroom for the rest of the day. She wouldn't even let me in when it was time for bed, so I slept on the couch. The next day, we talked it out and we decided to try to deal with this going forward. However, she hasn't been the same. She refuses to have with me, and the one time that we did, she made the lights be off and didn't let me touch her. She hasn't been cooking meals and has only been getting food for me. She has canceled all dinner plans that I've made with our friends or told me to go alone. She hasn't been wearing the bright outfits that she usually wears and only wears black sweatpants with a sweatshirt. She doesn't let me cuddle her anymore, and she keeps a pillow in between us as she needs it to, quote, align her back at night, even though she faces the other way. We used to shower every morning together, and she hasn't done that either. She's been showering when I'm at work or locks both the bedroom and bathroom door. She barely talks to me or even looks at me. I've tried holding her hand and she pulled it away. Everything that I try to do with her, she just ignores me. I'm just so done with her acting so distant and cold to me. I want to be able to go back to the relationship we had before she lost her son, or even before she started acting distant to me. My one friend has 2 kids of her own and said that I am at fault for doing that less than 6 months after she lost her baby. Also went off on me about how I should have never commented on her weight and that a lot of people would turn to food as a comfort. My girlfriend was diagnosed with binge eating disorder when she was 13. She went to treatment, and that's when she became a health nut, and said that I will never understand how she currently feels. But we both agreed that we wanted to have more kids. This conversation took place after he passed, so I feel like that should have given her some closure towards his death. I feel like if she's acting this way, then our relationship isn't going to last much longer. I know that her dad told her recently that she is still welcome to move back home and even offered to pay for her grief counseling that she goes to 3 times a week. I don't know how long I can put up with her having this much attitude. I'm worried that I'm going to make the same mistake if she doesn't take care of my needs soon. I just need to get her back to who she was before. What can I do to help her get over this? Is there anything I can say to make this better? better.
Yeah, you can fucking choke on my bro. That's what you can do. Do that and then go eat a big pile of fucking shit. Like, that's what you should do. I'm gonna talk to the girl. She needs to leave him immediately. Immediately. Expeditiously. The fact that he makes the death of her son about him.
Yeah.
Am I the asshole for telling my sister that she should have shaved before coming to my engagement party? I, female 27, got engaged recently and we had the party at a restaurant. It was paid for by my future mother-in-law. My sister, female 22, came with my parents and she's the type that lives by the body positivity concept, which is more than okay, but it tends to put me in situations. She came to the party wearing a dress above the knee and my future mother-in-law and other women were staring at her legs constantly. Mother-in-law pulled me aside and pointed out my sister's leg hair. I was baffled and quite shocked, and she said it made her and the other woman uneasy and weirded out. I said I was sorry calmly, but I was really mad. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she should have shaved before coming to my engagement party? I said I was sorry and tried to stay calm, but I was mad from the inside. The woman continued to stare, and my sister acted like everything was fine. I honestly felt like she caused disruption to the party. I brought it up with her later and told her what the guests felt about her unshaved legs. She kept chewing on gum while completely acting like it was nothing. She even said my future mother-in-law and the woman needed to chill out. I said this was unacceptable and that she should have shaved before coming. My parents are telling me to get off her back and leave her alone, and then they left. My mom wants me to apologize and my husband said that we're ridiculous. Am I wrong?